So welcome. It's very nice to see all of you here today. I'm talking to the students, not to the people who work here, because I'm not so interested. No. It's lovely to see you all here today. We're very privileged, I think, to have Ryan with us, Ryan Martin, who, as most of you, I think, know from perhaps things your teachers have told you before, is a professional basketball player here in Spain. And he's here to talk a bit about his life, and also very much to answer your questions. I know some of you prepared questions in class, but if you didn't, there's something you'd like to ask, then please do. There'll be an opportunity for that later on. Okay? So I'm going to hand you over to Ryan now.
Morning, or good afternoon. Buenas tardes, perdona. How's everybody doing? All right, so here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, how I ended up here in Spain, what I do in Spain, and some of the different things that I'm involved with as well. I was born with spina bifida. By a show of hands, has anybody heard of that? What spina bifida is? Okay. Do you want to kind of? Oh, you've heard it. Does anybody know anything more about it? Okay. Who has a pencil? Sí, ¿quién tiene un lápiz? I do. I will buy you a new one, because you're not going to want this one. No. Okay. Now let's pretend this is my spinal cord. Everybody knows where your spinal cord is? Right back there. Okay. I was born with spina bifida, which basically means I'll buy you another one. I promise. I promise. I promise.
You may be taken to court. You don't know.
Pero aquí no pasa nada. Okay. My team has a very good lawyer, I'm told. Okay. And so basically at birth, my spine did not fuse together. Okay. Now this is where we become more interactive. Put your hands on your knees. Okay. Slide your hands up about 2 inches. And that's where they amputated my legs. They amputated my legs when I was 18 months old. So like I was a real baby. I was so cute though. And that's ha ha ha. Okay, good. Now, and so like I never walked without prosthetics or different things like that. Usually people want to know how I ended up here in Spain. I play wheelchair basketball for a living, okay? Anybody by chance seeing wheelchair basketball? I know during like the Paralympic times. Okay, sweet. My one guy there. I would shake your hand, but you're way too far away right now. Okay. And so Spain has one of the best leagues in the world for wheelchair basketball. And where I'm from in the United States, in Connecticut, there's no professional leagues. Okay, so we can play basketball as kids. We can go to college. I went to college in Minnesota and played basketball there. On a full scholarship. And then like our best players in the US come over here to make money, which is during the crisis, don't ask. I don't understand how it works either. But that's kind of how it goes. And so I've played in Getafe for 6 years now. I end up spending about 9 months here in Spain during the season, and then I go home back to Connecticut where I do different speaking engagements like this. And also I do basketball camps for kids and just really kind of enjoy the States for 3 months. Is kind of how that works. I think it's really good because especially for people who played sports and then maybe got into a car accident or things like that, I think they're used to playing sports. And I also think it also gives, like kids with disabilities a lot of confidence, from the standpoint that like, oh, I'm really good at this. And like their peers can see that and stuff like that. And when you play sports, like I remember when I played sport, I have 12 brothers and sisters. What? Espera. Okay. I have 12 brothers and sisters. My parents adopted kids with disabilities. And so I always grew up around kids with disabilities. And so for me, it didn't seem different that I had no legs, that I was in a wheelchair, things like that. But to answer your question again, I think anytime you can get into sports or any sort of thing, if you're into music, theater, the arts, I think it's a positive thing. And I try to push the kids with disabilities that I work with through my foundation and into as much as possible, because I want them to gain those intangibles. I want them to be more confident. I want them to be more physically fit, and things like that. And I believe they can achieve that more through sports than any other medium. Oof. Vamos a ver. I play in Getafe. We have a good team. We have a younger team right now, and so we're not as good as we will be in a couple of months. We have 2 players from Switzerland, myself as an American. What else do we have? 1 player from Iran, 1 player from Poland, but evidently he only speaks Italian. So my Italian's getting like giusto. And so, and then the rest are all Spanish players. And so we'll end up playing for 3 things. We'll play for the La Liga, the Spanish league title, then the Copa del Rey y la Copa Europa también. And so we'll play for all 3 of those things. I think we will have a chance to win all 3 of those cups depending on how good our young players get right away, because we're going to need them to be not so young. I speak Spanish, yep. My English is a little rough. Actually, my English gets horrible when I'm here because I have to speak it like, when I speak to people, it's not like speaking to other Americans or other British people or Aussies or Kiwis, whatever you call them. And so just those 2, I'm learning Italian because my one teammate, like, I play point guard on the team, which is it's the base. And so I have to make sure everybody gets the ball, or I got to hear in Turkish, German, a little bit of broken English, and Spanish, like, give me the ball. I've heard that in like 37 different languages, I feel like. And so I feel like I speak a little bit of a lot of languages, like enough to, a little bit of a couple, like Italian, a little bit of a French and stuff like that, but I would just say English and Spanish right now. Funny because I lift weights in a public gym in Getafe, and some of the looks I get from people, like the other day, I was doing like chest press, which is bench press. Everybody with me on that? How many people go to the gym here? Okay, sweet. So I'm sitting there, and I have 32 kilo dumbbells, and I'm like, and I'm talking to the trainer in Spanish. I'm like, me aburro, dame algo diferente. I'm like, give me more. And so he's like, the only thing we have is 40 kilos. And I'm like, well, that's like 85 pounds. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And so I'm sitting there, and literally the whole gym stops and starts watching me do this. And I'm like, okay. It's like when that really attractive girl walks in the gym. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. Like, like you could be doing back workouts, and she could be over by the arms, and you're like, oh. And so like the entire gym is watching me, and I kind of like it. So I'm like, so I'm supposed to do like 6, like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, I think I got 7, boom, boom, boom. End up doing 10. And people are just like this. And like now the whole gym stopped. You hear the horrible disco music, like that's going on. And I'm just like, hola. And then everybody stops again and starts doing their thing. But yeah, I go to the gym a lot just because I'm really kind of short. I don't know if you've noticed that. And so if you ever watch one of our games, I have to do a lot of the physical work. And so I better be strong, or they'll find another American who can come do my job. A couple of things I did not understand culturally. I love the siesta. I think the very, very first time I wrote to my family back home, like, via email or whatever, I'm like, guys, they take a nap from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. And they're like, no. I'm like, no, yes, they do. And they're like, no way, yes. And like, I swear, I think that was my favorite part. I always joke like that the siesta is my favorite part. And then I actually, on a serious front, I think Spanish people culturally do a better job of recognizing their family. Like I said, like when you go have dinner with them, it's everybody. And I think sometimes in my country we get a little bit caught up in everything being so fast that we lose sight of that. But on the other side of the coin, I hate how tomorrow in Spain is next week, and I hate how next week is 3 weeks. And heaven forbid somebody tells you 1 month. Yeah, she's got a huge heart, and I think she's a little strange in the brain. No, just kidding. No, I mean, to be honest, a lot of people, when I do talks like this, ask me about the one person who, like the people who've had a profound impact on my life. And I would definitely say my mom, to adopt kids with disabilities. I was the first kid who's adopted. Like, I don't even know my biological family, things like that. But we'll need a whole nother hour for that talk. No, my mom's great. I mean, some of the things she went through with her children, I think are incredible. I mean, the amount of time she had to take one of us to the doctor, the amount of time she had to, be in the hospital for a surgery. Like, I have one brother who's blind and deaf. I have one sister that had a heart transplant. Oh boy, I had one sister that adopted. Her dad couldn't get her to stop crying, so he shook her, and her brain detached from there. Sorry, my English isn't good enough to explain what happened there, but I just know that was things. So, like, my family background is pretty unique, and it makes me feel like I can handle anything. So when we go to Barcelona and they're swearing at me in Catalan, I'm just like, hey man, this is a walk in the park. And I think I get a lot of that strength from my mom, and just seeing what she was able to do, and things like that. So she's a saint in my book. All right, your question. I was adopted when I was 6 months old, this big, and my biological parents were both. Muchos copas. Dia cada dia. No. From what I understand, I was given up for adoption because they felt that they weren't going to be able to take care of me because of my disability. Doctors really thought that I was going to be. I don't know how to say this politically correct, so I'm just going to say it. They all thought I was going to have problems with the way I thought. They thought I would never be able to. Go to school. They never thought I'd be able to speak English, let alone speak English and Spanish and, live abroad. So my biological parents, who were both struggling with alcoholism, decided that, like, the best decision for them, and probably for me, was to just give me up for adoption, because they didn't feel like they could take care of me. And for me, I don't have kids, but I imagine that's it. I mean, how many people have kids here? Okay. Could you imagine giving up your kid to somebody else to raise? And like, every parent looks at me like, are you out of your flipping mind? Yeah, no. And so, like, I have tremendous respect for them, because it's got to be a tough decision to do. I don't even like giving somebody a wheelchair. Just kidding. So I think that's a tough thing. And then also the fact that in America, when I was born, adoptions were closed. And so, like, I can't go try to find them because all that information is concealed. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody on that same sheet of music?
Would you like to find them?
Sweet, I was waiting for you to ask a question. No, I tried to, like, 5 years ago. And so what you do is, it's a long process. You have to, it's very Spanish, actually. It takes forever. You go ahead and you have to, fill out paperwork, and you have to have an interview, because they don't want you, like, if you're a little crazy in the brain, they don't want you to try to, like, cause physical harm to your biological parents. And what happened was, my biological parents told my family that I died. That's why I didn't come back from the hospital. So they weren't looking for any sort of, any sort of relationship. And for me, all I wanted was to just say thank you. Like, I have plenty of money. I don't need to ask them for money. But like getting back to my question to the parents, like I can't imagine doing that, and so I wanted to say thank you, and then like I wanted to like have like I had some questions like why are my awesome blue eyes blue? You know, does my mom have blue eyes? Does my dad have blue eyes? Things like that. So yeah, I would say that's I would like to, but I don't think it's going to happen. So you just gotta kind of move on from that.
Thank you ever so much, Ryan.
Oh, my pleasure.
Having you.
Thank you.